Moving on to the 3:30 Eastern time slot, we got a good one here. Georgia Tech and Miami. Looks like Miami is laying 5.5 pretty much across the board. If you're looking to bet Georgia Tech, you can find a 6 at Intertops right now. Joe, how are you looking to bet this other ACC matchup?
Yeah, at the start of the year, I picked Georgia Tech to win the coastal side of the ACC. I'm not backing down now. They have an extra week of preparation. Miami's coming off an emotional 24-20 victory over Florida State, scored in the last 2 minutes of that ball game, last seconds of that ball game. But this is a Georgia Tech offense that's averaging 396 rushing yards on the ground. You look at Miami last week against Florida State, they allowed 203 rushing yards in that matchup. Entering that ball game, Florida State was only rushing the football for 90 rushing yards on the ground. So that was a dominating effort by the Seminoles. More importantly, look at Georgia Tech's defense. They're holding opposing offenses to only 259 total yards per game, 101 rushing yards per game, and 158 passing yards per game. They're holding opposing offenses to 23% of third down conversions. And when you look at their offense is converting 53% of the time. I think they could get Miami into a low-scoring game, and I'm calling for the upset. Georgia Tech 21, Miami 17.
Yeah, I like this one. This is a great rivalry in my book also. And also, Joe, you got to think, Miami coming off of that big win against Florida State, where's their heads at? And preparing for this triple option, it could be tough. It's all about assignment defensive football. So you think that could have something to do with Georgia Tech pulling off the upset?
Oh, without a doubt. Now, when you look at this matchup overall, Miami has dominated the series since 2012. They're 4-1 over Georgia Tech by 10.5 points per game. And over the last 2 victories, they've won those games by 15.5 points per game. But if Miami gets over aggressive and runs sideline to sideline, that could open up backdoor reads for Georgia Tech's triple option, especially the dive play that they've had great success on. So Miami can't be overly aggressive. They have to maintain gap integrity in this matchup. And if Georgia Tech puts together an 8 or 9 minute drive to start the game, I think they'll be in this game from start to finish. When you look at that game against Georgia Tech last year, Miami dominated that matchup, but Justin Thomas did have 2 critical fumbles in that ball game deep inside their own 30-yard line that allowed Miami to score off of turnovers. So that was a key characteristic in last year's victory in Bobby Dodd Stadium by the Hurricanes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. So Joe liking the Jackets in Miami. Another 3:30 matchup going to the SEC this time. A battle of Tigers in the Bayou. We got 207 Auburn versus 208 LSU. Looks like Penny's hanging a -6.5, -7 everywhere else. 44.5 the total. How you looking to bet Auburn versus LSU, Joe?
Yeah, from a series standpoint, I like LSU in this matchup. They've won 3 of the last 5 over Auburn by 13.3 points per game. The last victory by the Auburn Tigers in Baton Rouge came in 1999, so you have that factor heading into this ballgame. Last year, Auburn did get the victory 18-13 in dramatic fashion. LSU did score with no time remaining on the clock, but the touchdown was waved off. It led to Les Miles' firing for that ballgame. You look at Auburn as a whole overall, coming off a convincing 44-23 victory over Ole Miss. Jarrett Stidham now goes on the road for his first SEC road game. You look at Auburn's victories this year, Drew, against Georgia Southern, Missouri, Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Those teams are a combined 10-13 overall. I look at LSU's offense that pounded the rock for 216 rushing yards last week against Florida. And defensively, I think the Tigers played much better last week on the road in the Swamp. They're holding opposing offenses to 137 rushing yards per game and only 171 passing yards through the air. I think they step up at home. It's a 3:30 start, but I still like LSU in this ballgame. Coupled with the fact that Danny Etling is a senior quarterback, I think he has big game experience. Jarrett Stidham on the road. I'm just not sold on Auburn overall. I'm calling for the upset. LSU 28, Auburn 24 this coming Saturday.
All right, Joe liking the upset, so he'll take LSU +7 at home. And you bring up some good points, Joe. I mean, Auburn not winning since 1999 in LSU, even the year that they went to the national championship game with Nick Marshall as the quarterback. This was the regular season game that they dropped. So good points there, Joe.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.